Alright guys, so now we are going to paint a Storm Lord Space Marine. They are really cool. I like them. It's an old school scheme. Dates back to like 3rd edition or something, probably even Rogue Trader era. Back when the bases were Goblin Green and stuff. And this is a split scheme, so it's half red, half white. And the classic one, they have a black backpack. I know some of the modern ones, they have also the split scheme backpack. And then, so as our key here for the split scheme is always the same thing. We do the easiest color first. So now because we have red and white, we're going to do the red first. It's much easier. That's why our model is prime dark brown. This one I use Rhinoxide, but if you have the shaker can thing, oak brown from Army Painter is really, really good. So we're going to start with Mephiston red at a roughly 45-degree angle just to keep some shadows. And technically we could just do 1/2. We don't need to do the whole model. I don't know why I'm doing the whole thing. But as you can see, I'm leaving some of the brown on this side, but I want everything to be red. I don't want any of the brown, like nothing should be, this is brown. It should be tinted red at least. Alright, it's better to kind of overdo it a little bit because, well, the mask is going to take care of the rest, right? So if we have some extra space, it doesn't matter. And we don't really need to pay any attention to the helmet because these guys' helmets are yellow. So we are good like this. So now we're going to add Evil Sun Scarlet. So now we have Evil Sun Scarlet, and really now we're going pretty much from the top down. We're not almost no angle. It's a very, very big, bold highlight between like the brown from the recesses and the top from that's like super light red. So I like this a lot. And so now masking. So we're gonna use Tamiya tape. I really, really like the Tamiya tape for some reason. It's come in a bunch of sizes, but it's worked out really, really great the last couple of times I used it. We're doing the red first is because the tape is like not an exact science, right? So there is bound to be some mistake. So you want to plan for the fact that you're probably going to make a mistake instead of trying to be perfect. And then when you make a mistake, it's like the end of the world. And just factor in, oh, I'm going to make a mistake at some point. Let's be ready for it. And we're going to use Skaven Blight Dinge here for this next step. I like this color. It fits well with the brown, I feel. It's got this little like greenish tint to it. So this is Skaven Blight Dinge here, and we're pretty much doing exactly what we did with the brown. Here's one even coat across the entire thing. And if you're using Vallejo, this is kind of a color that's called like stone gray or something. It's usually called like stone gray or German field gray or something like that. It's this greenish gray color. And then once we have that, we're going to use Celestra Gray here, which is my favorite. It's a super light, but it's super light gray, but it's also super opaque. So it works really, really well for white. Now, much like our red on top of the brown, we're going to do just a 45-degree angle type thing. And we're going to really not leave a lot of this Skaven Blight Dinge showing. We want this to be mostly gray. Because our final model should be white, right? So it should not go like super dark into the highlights. Oh, so this is very interesting. So now we're gonna add white. We're gonna dump this. We're gonna add white. Now straight white, and then we're gonna be very, very subtle about it. And so we're gonna use the Army Painter Matte White for airbrush. This is the best color ever. So now again highlight, but now we're gonna go a little bit heavier than what we did with the Evil Sun Scarlet. And we want to get a little bit heavier because we really want this to look like white and not like gray. The key with masking usually is to try to remove your mask kind of as quickly as possible. Because if the paint starts to dry on your masking, when you remove it, it's going to break off, and that's not great. Maron, this is great. Oh man, I dig this. And again, the helmet we don't care about. We can cheat our backpack in. So we'll do black primer, and then now we're doing white, the same white that we had. We're just going to highlight from the top down here. The first step is going to be to touch up where our mask maybe failed a little bit. So we're going to take a small paintbrush, and we are going to take our brown, our base coat brown. I think we keep it clean this one, but it would work well with a it will work well with battle damage, because then you get like a very unified look for your red and your white. You kind of get the extra extra like joining color, if you will. I think the white can really use like one extra fine hedge highlights here and there. Again, the camera is not really picking it up. So really just hedge highlights here and there. So I like this look for white. It is kind of, for me it works. Now, let's touch up our red. Let's finish up touching up our red with Mephiston Red. Okay, next up, I think we'll do the black parts. So we're gonna use any kind of black that you like, and almost all of the details on this Marine here is black. And now's a good time to be extra careful with what we're doing. This black is not working. Let's pick another one. Alright, let's use Abaddon Black instead. And the reason you want to use an opaque one is you don't want to do multiple passes on this. If you can get away with one, because you have to be precise, right? So if you do multiple passes on an area where to be precise, you have to be twice as precise, because you have to be precise the first time and the second time, and then God forbid the third time you do it. Leaving some parts on the gun because I want them to be silver at some point, so not bothering with all of it. So we're doing all of the joints and everything again with black. And we could use if we want a black line, we could use this to black line as well. I don't think we do on this scheme. I've seen a few that look really nice even with the black lining, because if you keep all of your lines like black, like a straight black, almost cartoon-like, you get like a very, very striking result. So it's nice, but I think it's a lot harder for like painting an army and not wanting to pull your hair out is probably not the right way to go. All right, I think we like this. And then we're going to do the exact same thing we did earlier. So we're going to take our Celestra Gray, thin it down a lot. So we take our Celestra Gray, and because it's like kind of thin, we get to redo this little... Now, let's do the helmet. Because I think the model will look a lot better with even a rough coat on the helmet would help it tremendously. So for the helmet, we'll do Scrag Brown and Iriel Yellow. We'll just do a base coat here in Scrag Brown. And we'll be careful around that little thing that we left there, the little con thing that's black. So second coat here and there. We don't even need like a full second coat. We just really need to touch up the spots that add some black, just to make sure it's an even brown color. Like, we don't want the black showing through on it. And now we can do a dry brush with this. No, not with this brush, but with another brush. We can do a dry brush with the yellow. It's going to work fine. Let's do that. So Iridia yellow is a very, bright yellow. And what we can do is a bright dry brush, and then we can add some contrast or some paint or some shading to this, or some shade to it. And we'll kind of bring out like the smoothness. I have to go very carefully here because of the white and like all the borders and stuff. But you know, now we get like a solid yellow. And if this is like too mild for you, like you want like an even brighter yellow, we can just add some flash gits to it. Flash gits is like the master of vibrant yellow. And then we can just add a little bit of shade just to bring it back. Because if you look at it closely, you can see like it's very like coarse, right? Or hoarse almost. Like it's grainy. It's not just the camera, it's the way the dry brush works. But if we add like a shade of like a Sandora yellow or something like that, which we have, then it's gonna tone it down a lot. So we can do that. Like so, and you can see I'm not too worried about the back because there's going to be a backpack over there, so we can live without this being super perfect. But now we have like our main colors on there, and it's already looking interesting for sure. Like that's a nice Space Marine that we got going on. So now let's take a little breather. We'll do half of this backpack here with our contrast paint, and that contrast paint is Black Templar. So we'll just do the back here. Because once we do the back part here, then we can glue it on the model and finish it up. So we'll grab it by this plate here, and now we'll just do... We'll do the entire thing, whatever. So we're only doing this part. That way, once it dries, and I can kind of pick it up on the right side, and then we can do it normally, if you will. So we'll leave this to... now we'll do the Space Marines with all these bits, the silver. So we're kind of lucky in that there's not a lot of silver on this mini. So it should not take too much time here. We'll do this because that way we can do the sign in yellow. I think it would look nice. But by doing it silver, we keep the metallic aspect of it. And we're also not adding in some gold into a model that does not really have gold otherwise. Which is something I really like having one kind of metal or one color of metal across your entire model. I like that a lot, versus having like all of the bling in different colors. The back, I think we're good like this. Now, let's do some sort of shading or some. Let's just do the purity seal. So we can highlight the purity seal. Well, we can paint the purity seal. So any bone color that you have is perfectly fine here. And this here with this kind of scheme would be one where using a white for this would not be too would not be too scary. Usually you try to avoid that because it sticks out, but with our half white model, then it kind of makes sense. So it would make sense to use white as well here. You don't need to use bone color. Now we'll highlight our brown, our actually brown color, with Scrog Brown, same color that we did on the helmet, the base color for the helmet. Cool. And then last kind of highlight color in all of this is going to be some... I think we can reuse our Skaven Blight Dinge. I like reusing the same colors that's on the Marine. And we'll do that on all of our black like cablings and stuff. And here you can go heavy on the highlight here because we're gonna shade this with null oil. So you can either do it like really perfectly and mighty fine, or you can go a little bit faster and a little bit looser, and then mask it, kind of mask it a little bit with the shading. This is kind of a pick your battle situation where I don't mind that it's a little bit messier because I'm gonna shade it with black anyway in a second. Okay. So let's do a grok search shade, and it's really just for the purity seal. Boring like that, just for the purity seal. So we're gonna do the entire seal, including the red part. That way, the red part will kind of stand out from the armor just a little bit. So let's do null oil. And so we do our silver and our black with this. So if the heavier you went with the highlight, the more you can put on the null oil. So you can do all of these joints if you were heavy, or same thing, the pouches. Like the pouches, we went like overboard a little bit with the highlights. So this is I really love this chapter here. That, like, if this was our final if this was our army, I think this would be like a very, very nice army. And now we're gonna paint the eyes, and we're just gonna paint them blue, just a good old blue. And Bahara blue is really, really dope. It's like a super light turquoise. It's one of my favorite colors. This one here is one of my newer found love of my life. And so we have, good looking lens. Like, we could add a dot of white in the back if we want to. I think if just an army, little army trooper like this, we don't need to overdo it. We do not need to overcomplicate things. This is a scheme that stands out because all the colors are really bright. So we don't need to overdo anything. It's already standing out. So now the last thing that we want to do at this point is glue on the backpack over here. All right, not too crooked. Perfect. And then we're going to take our contrast again, because remember we only did halfsies of the backpack. So just to recap here, the backpack, the classic scheme is with a black backpack. And this contrast is the Black Templars one, not the Black Legion, okay? They are kind of like, they're both black, but they're very different. I really like this one. Okay, so last thing that we need here is a base. Now again, I said this before, because our Marine is like super bright and bold color, we don't need a base that does that. We need a simple base that showcases this guy. I take it back. I got it. All right. We got the backpack glued back on. We got the miniature glued back on there. And now we have a perfectly fine Stormlord Space Marine. You can add chapter details, chapter symbols, and whatnot. But I just like this. In terms of like army painting, I think I could do this for an entire army, and I would have like a really, really nice army in no time. This was not too long to do. And it's a very like striking scheme, so I really, really dig it. And again, if you want to add battle damage to this, all right, video done.